A fierce winter storm raged on the mountain road. The sun had set, and in the darkness, the Kurdish village leader was thankful that he was almost home. However, in the distance, he could just make out the figure of another man behind him, trudging along through the deepening snow. Who else would be out so late in this terrible weather? The village leader knew his duty and did not shy away from it. He walked back down toward the man and warmly greeted him as they tried to hear each other through the noise of the storm and the layers of jamana scarves covering their faces. The village leader insisted that the traveler come and stay at his house that night. After only a little bit of polite refusal, the traveler agreed. Shortly after, they arrived at the village leader's house and closed the door behind them, shutting out the noise and cold of the storm and entering into the warmth and calm of a village house. As kerosene lanterns were lit, the men removed their shoes and then their coats and scarves. Suddenly, each man froze as they recognized one another. The traveler was none other than the sworn enemy of the village leader, a man with whom the village leader's family was engaged in a blood feud. The traveler's eyes were suddenly full of alarm, and he moved to step back toward the door. But the village leader stepped toward him reassuringly, kindly putting his hands on his shoulders. There was something even deeper and stronger than a blood feud that told him the right thing to do. "Friend," he said, "tomorrow we will be enemies. But tonight, you are my guest. Come in and eat with us." And so the two enemies put aside their feud for the night, knowing that they would probably be enemies again when they parted the next day. But for this night, honor meant that the relationship between guest and host was much more powerful and important than the relationship between sworn enemies. Because in Kurdish culture, few things are as honorable, as powerful as hospitality. Welcome to Reşmall, the Kurdish Culture Podcast. Our goal in this podcast is to explore, understand, and share Kurdish culture for the benefit of Kurds and non-Kurds alike. In each episode, we focus on a different aspect of Kurdish culture and how it affects everyday life. Like every culture, Kurdish culture is diverse and always changing. Our hope is to explore both the historic traditions and modern variations, highlighting the opportunities and acknowledging the challenges. With deep respect and admiration, we invite others to join us as we continue to learn more. So, come on into the Reşmall, the black tent where countless generations of Kurds have lived. Let us serve you a hot cup of sweet Kurdish chai and enjoy the conversation.
Welcome to this second episode of Reşmall. What a powerful story. As we think about today, if you had to explain Kurdish hospitality to someone who's never experienced it, what are we talking about here?
For us, when we talk about Kurdish culture, one of the most distinctive characteristics of Kurdish culture is hospitality, because it's related, and it's deeply related with many other aspects of Kurdish life. And it's not only a normal tradition, because it's related with our patience, with our religious, background, and also it's the way that we can see if God loves us or not. Why Kurdish people are well known for hospitality. I know that the people in the eastern part of the world, they are well known for hospitality, like Japanese, Korean, Chinese, and even in the Middle East. But when we read, let's say, the books and the old writings about Kurdish nation, especially from the missionaries, from the diplomats, and from the researchers, we can see that they are focused on Kurdish hospitality. But the reality is, Kurdish people have lived in the mountains, for thousands of years, and living in the mountains is not easy to live, because everyone knows that the mountains area has a harsh weather, and in those situations when someone comes to your door, what can you do? So being polite and being nice is not, the only thing. It's about survival. It's about, let's say, humanity. So it's really important, to receive this man, even that you don't know, just to let's say, let him stay in your house. So because it's not only about an action, it's about humanity, because it's about survival. And everyone knows that the Kurdish people has lived in many difficult times, let's say poverty, war, and things like that. In those situations, when we see that people open their hearts and their doors for us, it's going to encourage us to do the same with other people.
I love that.
It's a really interesting point, too, that in the past, Kurdish hospitality was often connected to life or death situations.
Yeah.
You know, in the mountains, they're traveling through harsh terrain, or down in the desert plains, people are traveling through harsh situations. I remember reading an account by a British traveler named Major Sohn from
Major Sohn.
120 years ago.
He's famous.
Traveling through what would today be Rojava, through the Kurdish areas, on his way towards Bashur, and he talks about how in the villages, anyone, complete strangers, could go up to any woman from the village and ask for some dough, some yogurt water. And the expectation was any traveler could have as much of this cold, life-giving drink as they wanted or as they needed to strengthen them for their journeys.
Wow. Okay, I love that.
You know, according to Kurdish hospitality, everyone had their own value. If you want to see these precious values that you are holding, just try to be a guest for a Kurdish family, because we have a lot of respect and there is no distinction between poor and rich, because in Kurdish culture we have, so much proverbs related to Kurdish hospitality. There is a famous Kurdish proverb. We say, the guest is a God's guest, or the guest is coming from God. And it means the one that comes to my home is not a normal person. It's someone that comes from God. And we have similar proverbs that they say, a house without a guest lacking blessing. It means a house without guest. It means God doesn't want to bless this house. So we believe that when someone comes to our house and serve them wholeheartedly, it's really connected with our religious mindset or our spirituality, because we believe that God loves us. That's why he sent these people to our house to serve them. And when we talk about Kurdish hospitality, it's all about, something that's really valuable in our eyes.
Yeah. Okay, so you keep using the word serve them. So if I were coming in as a guest for the first time, what would it look like for me to be served by a Kurdish family in their home?
Yeah, the first thing is, okay, when we welcoming you, we have to repeat and repeat, "Bakhair bey, bakhair bey, ya khwa bakhair bey." And all the family members wants to come to the living room and say, "You're welcome," and we are very happy that, to have you. And then the first thing that we can to offer you a glass of water on a fine tray, and then we have to show you that you are respectable. And
Why water?
it's really important because we believe, as I said, that we have to come back for the history. When a traveler come to my home, we think that he needs a glass of water.
He's
because
thirsty.
he's thirsty. So even if you come to our house with your nice car, then the first thing that we can do is just offering you a glass of water. It's not about do you want a glass of water? In Kurdish culture, it's rude and it's shameful, to ask your guest, do you want this or this or that? You have to serve them.
So that glass of water to be sort of done in an honorable way, you said it should be on a nice tray.
Yeah.
It should be brought out in a nice tray, and it should be actually glass. Like a transparent glass cup that's very polite.
Yeah,
a nice tray.
That's really important. Can I say an example, a story, a funny story?
Yeah.
The first time when I became a guest to an American family, and after spending almost 1 hour, the man didn't serve me with a glass of water. And after 1 hour, his wife came back home and she said, "Oh, did you serve him with a glass of water?" He said, "No, I'm so sorry for that." And after that, they served me with I don't know how to say that, a glass or a bottle of tomato paste. Okay?
Wait, what? Oh, it was the container for
The
tomatoes?
yeah, the
Oh, a
container
jar.
of tomato paste.
A jar, like
A jar, yeah. I mean,
with water.
yeah,
Okay.
they brought me some water in the tomato paste jar, and I
Okay.
was shocked at that time, and I saw as a kind of disrespectful. But I think no, they are American, and it's the first time to me. Maybe I can, see so many other things, from them.
Yeah. Americans like drinking out of jars. I don't know
Y-
why.
Yeah,
We have this culture.
yeah, we only keep tomato paste jars
Yeah,
around
and
here. So
in Kurdish culture, when we serve our guests with the nicest glass that we have, especially those it's made with glass material
Mhm.
and also a nice tray. And also, what's really interesting is here, when you serve a glass of water, you have to stand up. It's just like, when you serve a king. When you serve a king, you are not just giving and returning. You have to stay. And when they are done, then you can come back to the
So,
kitchen.
as a guest, it makes things awkward if you drink your glass of water very slowly and hold on to it. What you want to do is you want to drink some quickly, half of it or
Yeah.
all of it, and then put it back on the tray so that your host can not stand there in front of you, but they can take your glass of water, take it away. But I learned that lesson the hard way as I was holding on to my glass and just went, why is this guy just standing here? Is he, I'm, what's going on? So you want to drink it quickly and then give it back. Even if you don't drink all of it, um, it's meant to be very quick.
Yeah, we can give so much explanation for that. But for example, we can say that it's a sign of respect to say, okay, there is many more. And the glass of water is not the only thing that I can serve to you. Just wait for me. I can give you a really, really strong and brown color tea. And then, fruits, sweets, nuts, and things like that. So during your visiting, you will have 2 or 3 times a glass of water.
hmm
It's not, something that comes that it's that the only thing that I can give it to you. Okay?
Yeah. Sarhad, as an American, coming from a place that's very environmentally conscious, I carry a water bottle everywhere I go. How does the culture perceive an American walking around with a water bottle everywhere he goes?
It's really weird for us in some ways because we think why you are in need. I mean, just holding a bottle of water while you are walking. It comes from, a memory that we have, especially let's say for my generation and older. Let's say 20, 25 years ago, it was really, really common to have, public water for drinking in the bazaars. And water is not something, I mean, to buy. Let's say, for example, shopkeepers, they have a kind of, I don't know how to say that, some kind of water. I mean, just one glass for every single people. Everyone uses and drink it. So when we see that, I mean, from an American, it's just, a kind of cultural shock because we don't know what's going on with that. We are familiar with those kind of
Yeah.
bottles, but when we have a picnic, we can pour it, some of the tea, I mean, just to drink it.
So can I ask a follow-up question? So let's say someone comes to your house for a short visit, 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
To respect that, what's the minimum that you want to serve them in terms of food and drink in a short 15-minute visit?
Yeah, I mean, 15 is really short, but we are trying to be quick. Yeah. When we know that the guest will leave the house soon, maybe sometimes he said, I just need, I mean, to sit here, I mean, for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. When we realize that, then we will be quick, very quick. I mean, just to serve him as much as I can. Let's say, for example, just, serving him with a glass of water, and then we have to prepare the tea and also the fruit. When we bring out the fruit, it means you have to stay longer. And then, yeah, I mean, that's, culturally right that when we put the fruits, it's, the end of the session, but you can stay much longer after that you have the fruit. It's a sign that that's the end of our serving. But I mean, it's not just when you receive, when you have the fruit and then after 5, 10 minutes, I mean, go away. You may sit there maybe for 1-2 other hours. Okay?
But interesting. So then what is the fruit? Is that okay for us to sit there for another 2 hours with the fruit sitting out?
Yeah, I mean sometimes they don't take them back to the kitchen as a sign that you are supposed to eat and speak at the same time. And then they will bring out a glass of water. I mean, just to hydrate you
Before the journey.
Yes. So when you have 15 minutes, Mama Sandy, we will.
It's like listening to a podcast on 2 times speed.
Yeah, that's right.
Really fast.
That's right. And the other thing, when you have only 15 minutes, the guests know that culturally, if we don't serve our guest with a cup of tea, which we say istikan or piyala, the guest might say, "Oh, they didn't even serve me with a cup of tea." It's a Kurdish phrase just to show someone is disrespectful, non-hospitable.
I didn't even get a cup of tea.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
That's, a huge sign that, this house is not, and, they are not hospitable. And I went there and they didn't even serve me with a cup of tea.
So,
Because, tea is a symbol of hospitality.
So a glass of cold water from a nice glass
Yeah.
on a nice tray, and quickly followed up by a cup of tea, very hot cup of tea.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? And then tell me accurate. Maybe very basic principle might be something salty and something sweet, right? So maybe you have a cup of tea and then also something, maybe some sunflower seeds or some nuts, something salty, and then something sweet, maybe some cookies or some. And if you do that, would that be like a basic recipe for a simple visit? Some water, some chai, something salty, something sweet.
Yeah, actually, it depends on the situation and on the families, and I mean specifically, it depends on the geographical location. Let me tell you something. For example, in some area, especially in Bahdinan area, when they have the guests, they will make a table and put every single thing. I mean, including sweets, salty, tea, coffee, everything, what they have. But let's say, for example, in some areas, no, they will one by one.
Yes.
Let's say, for example, my wife is from Bardarash, which is a small town between Erbil and Duhok, and their culture is different. And nowadays, because I love their culture more than our culture, because when we have a guest, Salwa is trying to make a table and putting everything.
Everything comes out at once.
Everything comes out, and then I mean the table will remain at the end of the visiting. So when they leave the house, then we will take back the table to the kitchen.
I see.
But there is something really important, Mausa and Mausa Stephen, about the tea. Yeah, the tea should be very, very hot. And also, some people prefer to, let's say, brown to black color in a tiny cup. As I said, it's called istikan. It's really important to serve them in istikan. Yeah, some people, those who love to drink a lot of tea, they would like, huge cups, but it's not natural. When you want, to serve the guest, you have to use this kind of cups. But
how would you describe that? Like, it looks like a upside down light bulb or like a mini flower vase.
Small, vase or hourglass almost shape.
Yeah. The other thing, Mamos, that it's really important is it's not nice to serve your guest with tea bags.
Yeah, that's right.
It's really important. When I see, let's say, for example, here, when I see people, love tea bags, for us, it's a kind of disrespectful if I haven't seen in my life to be in a Kurdish house and serve me with tea bags. They have to prepare in the classical way.
Yes.
Just in a teapot or using samovar.
My students in Slemani, they call teabag tea sak tea.
Yeah, that's right.
Sak tea, chai gorawi.
Chai gorawi, yeah.
Like it's made from soaking a sak in hot water.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah. They had worse names too, but that was the one that was not.
Yeah. And the other thing, when you go to a Kurdish house, they might be wondering, how can I drink this cup of tea? So, I mean, normally we can put a sugar inside it, and it depends on. And also sometimes you can drink it with cube of sugar cubes. And but elderly people, or those who have diabetes, or those who love bitterness, or I mean the bitter tea, the black tea, they prefer to drink without any sugar. Yeah, it's really important. It's optional. In some ways, for example, when they serve you, they put sugar inside it, but you have to stir it. In some area, they bring a cup of, let's say, some of the sugar with the tea, just to, let's say, customize it for your tea.
Yeah.
Your cup should be so full of this burning hot tea that it's almost overflowing.
Yes,
right?
That's right.
Right at the top. And
If
yeah,
let's say, for example, once you realize that you served a tea to your guest and the tea is kind of cold, not cold, kind of cold, then you'll feel that you are doing something really bad to your guest.
Okay.
So, I mean, the tea should be very hot. Sometimes, I mean, the head of the family, they ask the women or their children just to take them back, and I'm giving hotter. And the other thing, Stephen, Andy, in some area, especially in the villages, when you are done with the tea, you have to do an action, just laying down, just kind of laying down,
not upside down.
not upside down. Sorry,
Tip it over.
tip it over.
Tip it over to show I'm finished.
Yes, that I'm finished. If not, when they see that your cup is empty, they will refill it immediately, because it's disrespectful when they see your tea, because I mean the head of the family is watching at your cup of tea. When when they realize it's empty, they have to refill it for you.
Thinking of the etiquette, Andrew just said don't put the glass upside down, put it on the side when you're finished. Any other etiquette for drinking tea or for receiving hospitality that we should know about?
Well, here's a question. What if I can't drink the whole cup of tea? Is it allowed that I don't drink it if it's been served to me? Or is that an insult?
Drinking it, I mean, half of the cup of tea.
Yeah.
It's not natural. If you do that, we might think that you didn't like the tea. Yeah.
So you should drink all of it if you can.
Yeah. But for the second one, you can say, okay, I'm full and I only drink 1 cup of the tea, and I'm totally fine. Please, I don't want. You can say that. But in the first one, and just drinking half of them, it's a kind of, that you are rude.
Yeah, I once sat in Choman in a lightning storm with a man who said he had 28 cups of tea per day.
Yeah, that's right. And I can share a story from one of my American friend. Once he visited a Kurdish village around Erbil, and he told me, Sarhad, I drank 6 cups of tea. I mean, before taking my meal. And I said, why? He said, I was the only one in the living room that I was, keep going, to drink, more teas. But I realized that some of them, they put the cup on a side. And I said, okay, since you are in a village, it's a sign that I don't want any more tea. So, the friend of mine didn't know about this code. That's why,
Just kept drinking tea, knowing when it was going to stop.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So good. Hey, as you're talking about serving hospitality to your guests, you keep saying they bring out the food, they bring out the fruit, they bring out the tea. Who's they in a home traditionally? Who is doing the main heavy lifting of this service?
Let's say the boys.
Okay.
Yeah, the boys, especially when the man has some sons, the youngest one can do that.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a duty for the boys, because in Kurdish culture it's not nice to let our daughters and the women to serve the guests, especially for the men. But we serve them, both of the groups, when the women sitting separately and the men separately. It's 2 different services, okay, with the same material, with the same steps, okay. So I mean, the daughter serves the women group, and the boy serves the men group.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But it's not nice, and it's a huge disrespectful for letting the head of the family serve the guests. Let's say serving the tea thing. I mean, you have to let your kids to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So kids need to pull their weight.
Yeah.
Get to work. Okay.
I have to work on training my 7-year-old. It's not like Jojo needs to, needs to get more serious about his hospitality duties.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's really interesting stuff, you guys.
Vamos, Andrew. Vamos, Steven.
Yeah.
The portion of the food in some areas in
We haven't even talked about the food.
Yeah, we haven't talked about
a
full meal yet.
I know. Yeah.
Chai.
Yeah, let me before talking about that, I can share a story from one of my American and Kurdish friend, and they were misunderstanding each other. I mean, the Kurdish friend of mine told me, Sarhad, when I told them, okay, you are invited, he is thinking that I'm inviting him with a cup of coffee or some of the sweets. But invitation is huge meals. I mean, heavy meals.
That's right.
I mean, eating. So when you tell to a Kurdish friend, okay, you are invited, he might think that you are going to serve him with food, not with cup of tea or coffee. Just, I mean, light things, light foods.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really important. So in some areas in Kurdistan, it's shameful. It's considered to be shameful to serve your guest with one type of food.
You need a full spread. You need multiple items.
For example, but in some areas it's totally fine. I mean, to serve them with one type of food. For example, in Bahdinan area, they might have, let's say, for example, chicken and rice, which is the main one, chicken and rice and soup, maraga, or dolma with it, or kefta with it. They call teshek. So they want to say that we have more and more for you. We expect that a lot of leftovers will come out. As a sign that we have more for you.
Yeah.
If the food is limited, when you realize the food is limited as a guest, then you will not eat too much.
Yeah, this is an area where I think Middle Eastern culture really values showing there's an abundance of food. There's more food than our guests could ever eat.
Yeah.
There's this generous overflow. And this is different from some Western cultures where the goal is to prepare just exactly the right amount of food for the people eating, and where if there's nothing left at the end, maybe in some Western cultures, the woman of the household will feel like, oh, that was a perfect meal. That was successful. I made just the right amount. But that would be a disaster in this Middle Eastern culture. You don't want all the food to be gone. You want there to be twice as much as was needed.
Yeah.
And your guests to never doubt, right, that there would be more food than they could ever want.
There should never be a question of, can I have a second helping of that?
Yeah. Honestly, now that we've been here for almost a decade, sometimes when we return to the U.S. and people have us over, sometimes when they bring out only one dish to the table, one casserole dish or something to the table, sometimes we look at it and we get a little worried and a little anxious. There's not going to be enough food. There's not going to be enough, because we're used to Kurdish hospitality.
Okay, let's talk about the food. What are we having whenever I get the invite? This happened to me, by the way. I go up to Dahuk and, we were supposed to we got invited over somewhere and just thinking maybe it'll be an hour. No, it was very much the type of spread that you're talking about, where the food just kept coming and the tea kept coming, and it was a real invite over. But can you talk us through what kind of food we're eating at the house?
So the main food that we use and that we serve for our guests is chicken and rice, or meat and rice, beef. We soup, as we say maraga or shila. That's the main one. And beside of this, we can make a lot of appetizers, salads, and vegetables, and many other things. And you go to a Kurdish house after the main meal at 1 or 2 o'clock, and the house will insist you. I mean, please, can you tell us? I mean, trustfully, did you eat? Did you take your lunch? Did you take your dinner? When you say no, they will keep going. Please tell us, did you eat or not?
Mm-hmm.
If you say, yes, I ate, I took my lunch or I took my dinner, they will kind of upset. And they said, why you didn't come to my house to eat with me? And if you go there before, let's say, the main meal, they try their best, to keep you, to let you stay and just having the meal with them. But the main food, as I said, especially for foreign guests, it depends on the geographical location. But we serve chicken, rice, beef, sometimes both together, and different soups and things like that.
And bread as well, right? Flatbread, naan.
Yeah. Oh, nani tiri,
Samoon.
samoon,
Yeah, so there's
flatbread.
some kind of rice, some kind of meat,
Yeah.
bread, some kind of fresh vegetables. One of the things that came up on our call was that for a special occasion, a family might prepare a special kind of like bird meat to serve, like a goose or
Okas.
a duck or a rooster or a turkey.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's right. That's a special type of food that you want, to serve your beloved one. Let's say, for example, I can buy a goose. I can buy, let's say, for example, we say local chickens, things like it's, quite more expensive than the normal one. So in those time, you will invite your beloved one just to have the meal with you because it's a special meal.
Mm-hmm.
And even when you go to a village, they will be very, very happy to cut, to kill, a chicken for you.
One of their own, right?
Yeah, maybe, the age of this chicken might be 3 years, 4 years. They kill for you as a sign of, his hospitality. It's really important. And even sometimes they might, go to bazaar and buying special things like turkey or, goose or, ducks, things like that. And then, okay, I will invite you with this kind of things, and it's a special meal for you. I think also, Andrew, you had even an experience with a kind of Kurdish yogurt.
That's right.
Yeah. Because, for example, when the Kurds realize that you love something, for example, if you say, okay, I love shifta. I remember, the first time when Mama Stephen told me, Sarhad, I had something really delicious in Choman for the first time in my life. It's deep frying. And I said, what is this? And then at the end, I realized it was shifta. Shifta.
Yeah, so good.
When I realized that, I came back home and I told to my wife, Stephen loves shifta, so we have to make some shifta for Stephen. So, for example, when you talk about something that you like, that's favorite for you, then we would love to
give it to us in abundance, and you do.
Yeah,
we love that.
Yeah, we would love, to invite you to have this kind of meal that is your favorite one.
Yeah.
Mamos Andrew might say his story when we talked about the Kurdish yogurt. What did they do, Mamos Andrew?
Yeah, we were at a government office. We were talking about how Erbil is famous for its yogurt. It's fresh yogurt. Then a few days, well, they promised actually some of the staff there, they said, we are going to bring you some fresh, local Hawleri yogurt. And they did the next week. They delivered some to the office. And we've been enjoying it at home with some flatbread and some walnuts and some honey. It's been amazing.
Wow.
We're going to have to respond to that hospitality, I think, by making some banana bread or something and delivering that to the office as a sign of our thanks for that very thoughtful gift.
Yeah,
they were excited. It wasn't like, oh no, we mentioned yogurt. Now we have this annoying duty. Now we have to bring them yogurt. They were excited. They said, oh, it's like we have the chance. We have the opportunity. We get to bring them yogurt.
Yeah.
They were very excited to do this and very honored to get to do this.
Yeah. Now, Andrew, you just said something interesting there. You said that you need to return some kind of gift in response So I want to think about that. How do we respond to hospitality in the right way in the Kurdish culture? What is the proper response?
It's for example, even nowadays, it's common, especially from the social neighborhoods.
Yeah.
It's okay for them for the neighbors just to exchange their food during their main meals. For example, when you give them a plate of food, and then they will keep the plate, and then when they want to return, they will put the food or something else. They don't, it's common not to returning empty. So it's really important, whatever you want. It could be, let's say, a sponge cake, or it could be, a banana bread, or it could be something. It could be, some pickles. Whatever you believe that's gonna be very helpful. For your hospitality. When you want to take the pot back to the guy, it's really important to put
something in it.
Yeah, in it. Yeah, it's really important.
Yeah. And some of our foods, for us foreigners, some of our foods are kind of strange for Kurdish people. But over the years, we found there's a few things that are really appreciated. Banana bread is actually one of those things.
Okay.
Lasagna. Different kinds of pasta.
Okay.
An American dish called shepherd's pie goes over really well. So it's good to find those things. What are these Western foods that Kurdish people really appreciate, and to put those in your in the dish when you return it, and to avoid putting the foods in the dish that are kind of strange or different. Or
my wife had a neighbor poking her brownies the other night, not quite sure what it was.
It takes some experimentation. And sometimes it happens the other way. Sometimes, your Kurdish friend will bring you some food that you're not quite sure what to do with. We had some friends surprise us by bringing us sarupe one time, pacha, which is it was the sheep's head and feet and the rice in the sheep's stomach. And they were so excited to bring this to us. And we're sitting there together, and they're picking the meat off the sheep's head and eating it. Do you want an eyeball? No, I don't want an eyeball.
Yeah. I once spilled pacha in my pants in El Kosh and I had a 2-hour car ride home.
Steven, I think your father-in-law loves sarupe so much.
He does. Yeah, my father-in-law Tom, that is his favorite meal is pacha.
Yeah. So along with that, it's important to be a good guest to bring some kind of gift with you when someone invites you for a meal, right?
Yeah.
What's appropriate? What was appropriate maybe in the past? How has that changed?
It depends on the situation. For example, if the family have a new baby, it's really important. Going there for a meal. When you visiting them, you have to have something for the mom or for the baby. It could be a piece of fabric for the woman just to make clothes. It could be a piece of Kurdish outfit or things like that, or it could be something that's related to the baby, shampoo, diapers, things like that. It's really important. And the other thing is, when someone has a surgery, it is really predictable to bring a box of chocolate or something. To show your hospitality to the host. But when you are visiting for the first time to a Kurdish house, as I said, it depends on the geographical location. They want to bring something as a gift. It could be, I don't know, it could be a box of chocolate, a tray of baklava. Yeah.
Traditionally, nuts, right? Or fruit or baklava. And maybe now one of the things that's changing, flowers. You can bring flowers. Some of the members of our research call were saying flowers or chocolates are becoming more acceptable now.
Yeah, that's right.
So somewhere in that sort of group of gifts is an appropriate thing to bring to be a respectful guest. How should your attitude be if you're a guest? How should you be acting? And
you have to be respectful for the host because he's trying his best for you. Just to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And even if you are disagree with him in some topics, you have to be, hiding at that moment. Just to be nice with him. It's good. To not arguing him publicly, loudly, things like that, just to show your respect.
You should be more deferential.
Yeah.
Just kind of interesting.
There's a couple of stories that I've heard recently that illustrate how important hospitality is in Kurdish culture. One of the members of our research call mentioned that when she was younger, her family had relatives moving back to Kurdistan from Europe, and they were going to stay with them. But at the time, her family was living in an apartment and they didn't have space. And so she said, so my parents decided we're going to move. We're going to move out of this apartment. We're going to move into a larger, more expensive house so that they could be good hosts and host these relatives. That's how important hospitality was for them. They would move their home out of an apartment into a bigger house just so that they could be good hosts. And then another story I heard recently here in Erbil was of a woman whose father had surgery, and there's so many relatives coming and visiting that this young woman actually quit her job so that she would be available to be a good host to all of these family members. She left her work because it was important to honor all these guests coming, to honor her father who had serious surgery. And I think these are two examples that just show.
Yeah, that's right.
This is how important this is in this culture, that a family would move their home to be good hosts. A woman would leave her job to be a good host.
Yeah, if a student come to me and say, Mama Sarhad, can you give me a permission to not attending these classes because I will have a lot of guests due to my father's surgery. What can I do? I have to let them go because we know that it's a serious thing, and the only thing that I can do at that moment is just to give them the permission to not attend the class because it's more important than the class because they have to be there and serve their guests. Yeah.
Hospitality is a sacred duty.
The best excuse, it doesn't even have to be an excuse, the best reason to say no to anything in Kurdistan. It's like you have to say yes to many, many things.
Yeah.
But if you have a guest, it's almost like you could say no to the president. Like, I'm so sorry, I have a guest. Maybe not that much, but you can, all other responsibilities are almost, less important compared to if you have a guest. It's like everyone understands, oh, you have a sacred responsibility. You must take care of your guest.
Yeah.
We excuse you of everything else. Go take care of your guest.
Let's say, for example, you have an appointment with one of your friends based on your schedule. Suddenly, someone come to your home as a guest. You have to destroy your schedule.
Yeah. Oh, that's so hard for Americans.
Yeah.
We've got stuff planned out to 2027. So
yeah, that's right.
Seriously.
We are not expecting that let's say, for example, our guests will call us. Nowadays they will call us, just to say, okay, do you have enough time? We would love to come over. But beside of that, we can expect that a lot of guests will come to our house without even letting us know.
Well, yeah.
And we know it's not shameful and it's not rude. And we have to serve them and sitting with them and smiling. And if I have any important appointments, I have to delay and cancel it.
So drop-in guests still welcome.
Yeah,
it's still
welcome.
Okay.
It's getting complicated. So traditionally, this was a very powerful way to respect someone, right? Was to come to their house, announcing it beforehand without letting them know, just to show up. It was like a real, wow, you're really honoring them. With modern sort of work schedules and city life, this can get complicated. This is something that came up on our call as well. One man was sharing about his life in Europe and how he lives in a very cold country. And he's trying to convince his older mother that we should probably call ahead to make sure the person is actually there that we're visiting, because we're going to go out into this freezing cold weather, travel across the city, and they might not be there. And then we have to come back home. So he's trying to convince her, to adjust according to this new setting, adjust the culture a little bit. But it can introduce some challenges when you have this, maybe the younger generation is expecting, please, call ahead, let me know so I can host you well. I have to leave work. I'm not at home. And then the more traditional generation is thinking, well, it's actually more honorable if we don't call ahead. Yeah. Have you seen any of that, Mamos Sarhad? Is any of that tension emerging?
Yeah, I can see that for the younger generation, something starting to be changed, and they deserve to let them know that, you want, to visit, the house. Sometimes they will complain because, they have to stay and serve, and they don't want to do that because, they have some appointment with some of the friends, and they prefer to go out, not staying there. But still, hospitality remains, strongly. There is another thing. Yeah, I heard from one of my close friend. He said, among us, we say if a Kurdish family has a guest, Satan will go out there. If a guest arrives into a Kurdish family, Satan will go out immediately.
Satan will leave their house.
Yeah, so
if there are guests there.
so there is no way to have guest and Satan at the same house. How? Because we believe when we have the guests, especially sometimes we will have some conflicts within the family. When the guest comes to our house, the conflicts coming out, and we will make peace immediately.
Yeah.
And then we see that Satan is not here anymore.
Everybody's on their best behavior.
Yeah.
Interesting. In thinking about what you just said, what about if, let's say, you have a friend or a family that's coming from a different part of Kurdistan? And I know that you mentioned sometimes it's kind of, you don't know they're coming until they're coming or until they're there.
Yeah.
And they end up staying for multiple days. Because we've talked about short-term guests, but what about long-term guests?
Yeah, long-term guest is not common nowadays because, you have hotels, and sometimes the people want to, let's say, stay in the hotels, and even don't letting us that they are in the city and having some duties here, to do that. But even we can have, guests for 2 nights, things like that, or 1 night. But it's not about changing our attitude, as a host. The people say they prefer to go to stay at the hotel, or because they have car. They will prefer to come back immediately when they come to the city. But let's say 1 century ago, it was not easy. Just to come to the city and coming back at the same day, you had to stay at one of your relatives' house for multiple days.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, we talked a little bit on the call about in some parts of Kurdistan, there are some funny things that people say, or some customs they might do if a guest is staying too long. So usually, right, it's very polite for there to be an understanding of how long is this guest planning to stay. They'll, they should kind of let you know, oh, we need to stay with you for 3 days or for a week or something. But if someone is just staying and staying and staying, I read about a traditional village near Choman that had a tradition of putting salt secretly in the guest's shoes to kind of, this would somehow create the feeling, indirectly, oh, maybe we should go back. And on the one hand, you never want to communicate that you cannot stay here any longer.
Yeah.
But sometimes for family needs or other situations, it's necessary to begin communicating. And so what are some of the
and even there is a funny thing between the, let's say, cousins, close relatives, when they stay longer, maybe till they will stay up to midnight, and you'll say, okay, make a bed for him. It's a sign, just to let them go. I know, in a funny way, with laughing. Just, it means, okay, if you are supposed to stay longer, we can make a bed for you and just sleep here as well. It's just a sign, just to let that, your cousin or your
It's getting to be bedtime. We can make a bed for you, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I will, along with that, I've also heard there's been situations where people are not offering in a joking way, but they're very serious. Please stay here tonight, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Stay. Please stay. Please take a shower.
Yeah.
Please go take a nap.
Yeah.
These other aspects of hospitality that are very maybe it'd be very strange for an American friend, for him to tell me, "Would you like to take a shower?" To offer that, or would you like to spend the night? But I've realized it can be a normal thing in traditional Kurdish hospitality for them to offer. Would you like to take a nap in that other room? Would you like to spend the night? Would you like to take a shower? Offering you anything that you might need, and sometimes even pushing.
Yeah,
We
pushing.
want you to spend the night.
Yeah,
We want you to go take a nap. We want you to feel totally relaxed and at peace.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I remember some American friends invited me up to the Hook and they put us up in a hotel for the night. And a local friend saw me there and he says, "Where are you staying?" And I said, "Oh, at this hotel." "What?" And he was shocked. He was offended. He was sad all at once. And so it is interesting to think through these interesting dynamics where you have the shift that you're talking about,
Yeah,
where because of transportation, because of cities developing, there's not maybe some of the practices don't remain the same way. And yet, here we are up in the Hook and someone's saying, "Why aren't you staying at my house? Why would
yeah,
you stay in a hotel?"
It is something I've noticed with the options that we have now, that Kurdish people have now with vehicles and transport being easier. I have noticed that some friends, like Mamos Sarhad said, they'll come to the city and they won't tell me. And the reason they won't tell me is because they know that for me to invite them over is sort of starting all of everything involved with hospitality. And they say, "We don't want to burden your
yeah,
family.
burden. Yeah,
We
it's
don't want to
about
be a
burden.
burden." And so it's good. It's kind of respectful for me to blame them. "Oh, you should have told me. We would have hosted you." And it's also respectful for them to say, "No, we're trying not to burden you. That's why we didn't tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We didn't want you to we didn't want you
yeah,
to kill the special bird for us." You know, and,
yeah,
so that's kind of a part of the culture that's developing too, I think, is this dance. It's an interesting dance
yeah,
of some of my friends will say, "Actually, we don't want to go to your house because we know it will be more work for your family. Let's go out and meet at a cafe, because that'll be simpler and it won't involve it won't be so costly
Yeah.
for your wife or for your family."
yeah,
And that's a different kind of respect too,
yeah,
related to hospitality.
Yeah. Yeah. So we heard about Satan leaving the
Okay.
house
yeah.
whenever guests show up. What about God? Let's come back to that proverb.
Okay, so there is a famous proverb we say, miwani khudaya, or we can translate it in this way. Guest is God's guest, or guest is coming from God, or we say a house without guest is lacking of blessing.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, when we talk about guests, we talk about something related to God. We believe if it's a remarkable sign that how can we know that God loves us when we have guests and God chose this house to have a guest.
Mm-hmm.
So he is coming from God, and we have to do the best thing that we can do for God's guest.
It's a really, I think, interesting idea that the Kurds really believe deep down in their hearts that guests are a blessing from God, not a burden. Guests are a blessing from God. And yeah, if you have a guest, it's like evidence. Oh, God must really love us.
Yes,
He really wants to bless us.
that's
And the
right.
guests are like evidence of this. And so I think that's why Kurds are so genuinely excited and energetic about hosting people, is because to them, it's like evidence that God cares for them, that he's sending them
That's
guests.
right.
Yeah, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. This has been a fascinating talk, and what a joyful thing to consider the love of guests, to consider what it means to be hospitable in Kurdish culture. Thank you, Kak Sarhad, or Mamosta Sarhad. Thank you for your time and your thoughts. Thank you, Mamosta Andy.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for you.
Good, great conversation.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Reşmall, the Kurdish Culture Podcast. If you found this episode helpful, then be sure to share it with others and to subscribe for more content exploring Kurdish culture.